In life, we do things out of fear or out of love. It is these two emotions that all other emotions spring from, and that all action takes place. Action takes place from power, which is love empowered emotions, or force, which is fear based. Now, in this video, I will explain to you methods and practices and perspective changes that help me get through my crippling anxiety. I did have crippling anxiety after a bad trip. I was in a state of derealization, and to put it short, I couldn't even go to a restaurant without feeling immense anxiety, without feeling the feeling of impending doom just coming, So I'll share with you guys some practices that help me. So we'll get right into it. The first practice that helped me is realizing that I am not my thoughts. So this is a practice because when you get into it and you start practicing that and really acknowledging, hey, and being aware that, hey, I am the observer. I'm not actually all the thoughts that I'm thinking. All the thoughts that are flowing in my head, there may be a lot of fearful ones, those aren't exactly me. And you'll come to find that you could be the awareness behind those thoughts. Now this, combined with me realizing and changing my perspective, but more than anything realizing that I don't have to identify with the thoughts in my head. I don't have to identify with the thoughts saying that I'm fear. I don't have to identify with fear. Acknowledge that fear is there, but don't identify with it. Just like when you observe a cloud, think of a cloud in the sky that says fear. You could just acknowledge it and let the cloud pass by. Or like when you're driving in a car, you observe many things. You could see many trees, but you just look at it even for 0.5 seconds and you release it. It lets go. But the moment you start identifying with the tree or recalling it more and more, you start giving it energy. You start forming that memory. Now that's how our mind works and how fear works. The more identification, the more you start recalling something, the more energy you start giving it, the more it's gonna become, you could say, an imprint in you, The more you're gonna start allowing it to take your energy. Now that's how it was with me with my crippling anxiety. A certain event took place and I'd go to certain places and I'd get that memory again. But what I'd start doing is when I'd start going to those places, I'd start recognizing, hey, this is my mind reacting to the memory that my mind had created. But I am not my mind. I am the observer. So I could observe even the sensations that are coming up of fear, anxiety, my heart race getting faster, my body may be tensing up. I could acknowledge that, but I have the choice to identify with it or to release it and allow it to happen without my whole being immersed in it. And when you do that, there's distance, and all of a sudden you feel way more light. You feel lighter and you feel more peace. You're at terms with it. You accept it. You're like, okay, I'm feeling this. It's not me, but this is the experience I'm going through. And I accept it, and it's okay. And you'll notice that when you do that, like I said, you'll feel lighter, you'll feel more peace, and it'll eventually go away. No emotion stays forever in you. Think of a child or a puppy. A puppy could get upset, a puppy could get very happy, but in 5 seconds it'll be feeling something else. It could feel something else, Or ducks, when they get in a fight, if you observe ducks, Eckhart Tolle talks about this, they get into an argument, but after the argument, they could shake it off, and then they'll even start playing with the person that they fought with or the duck they fought with, Because they let it go. They let the energy come up. Maybe the anger came up, but they released it. So we can do this with all emotions. In particular, in this video, we're talking about fear and anxiety. When you overcome fear, life gets way more liberating. I tell you from experience. And whatever it is you're going through right now, it has its purpose. You're learning from it. And always remember that the world is dual and energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It just is, and you decide where to channel it. So if you have a lot of anxiety, a lot of energy is built up there, that you could shift that. And guess what? When you know how to shift that energy, all of those emotions are gonna become empowered ones. You're gonna feel a stillness, a peace that you've never felt before. That's so beautiful, which I am feeling now. That's why I'm sharing this with you, because it's so good. So this brings me to my next point, and this was probably the biggest game changer, you could say, for me, the biggest changer in my experience. I started practicing meditation. So what happened is that I had an awakening. 2017 is when it started. 2020 is when it intensified and things really started making sense. I read The Power of Now in 2019. I realized I am not my thoughts. I am the observer of it. Then I read Ask and It's Given by Abraham, and I learned about the scale of consciousness, or the scale of your emotions. That gave me clarity, but they mentioned how meditation is very, very good. A very good practice to get in tune with yourself and to manifest what you want. So the intention with my meditation was to get in tune with who I was. So I started practicing what they said, and I started in my garage. I sat down and I put a timer for 10 minutes, and I set the intention in my mind. I will sit for these 10 minutes. I will focus on my breath, and I will focus on one spot in the garage wall, and I keep my attention there, and I use all my energy, all my focus to just be there. And so I did that. And the first meditation, it was tough. It didn't feel beautiful, but I felt the lightness after. But what was happening in that first meditation, it felt so rough because I had a lot of repressed emotions and there a lot of repressed fear, and it was all coming out because I was finally giving it attention and allowing it to come out. The next game changer for me was understanding letting go. Okay, so when you practice meditation, a lot of thoughts are going to pop up, usually in the beginning. A lot of, like I said, those emotions are going to come. But with more awareness, the more aware you become, the more you can release those thoughts. And sometimes you don't even have to release the thoughts. Just focus on your breath, redirect your attention to the breath, and you'll notice that the thoughts will start leaving by themselves. They'll start leaving. And then you'll come to a clear mind, a more silent state, and you'll feel the peace. Now, it's okay if you don't feel this peace every single time, or if there's thoughts throughout your whole meditation, because every single meditation you're going to feel lighter. Every single meditation you're going to work that muscle of awareness, which is going to make all the difference. When that muscle of awareness, which comes through by focusing your attention internally, when it becomes strong, then an experience could happen in your life, or you could start reliving an experience, like I said, anxiety memory, and you'll have awareness and you won't identify with it, and you could let it go, surrender, and the experience where before it would take over your entire day, or it would take you over for an hour or longer, where you'd be in that state of, oh shoot, like I'm not feeling good, you'll be able to surrender it instantly, if not in a couple minutes. If not, if it's something very tough, you'll be able to let it go in a way shorter time than it would last before. And with awareness, you'll become the master of your energy and the master of yourself. The more you meditate, the more you understand your moods and feelings, the more you understand that they are fleeting and that they are not you, that you are the observer. They are just paint. All the emotions are just paint. You are the painter. Your canvas doesn't get filled until you start painting with it, until you start giving the paint attention, until you start giving your emotions attention, until you get your brush, which is awareness, and you stick it in the paint, which are your moods and emotions, and until you start putting that paint in your picture, which is your canvas, which is your life. That's when you start identifying with it and you get in that state where things start to happen because of what you're focusing your attention on, whether it be something good or bad. So like I said, you're going to notice that more and more, with more awareness, you'll be able to let go of things. The next big game changer in my experience, so I remember as I was meditating, I started feeling more and more peaceful. My focus would get sharper. I noticed it in school. I was in college at the time. I'd be able to focus longer. I'd be able to sit still, whereas before I always felt an unease, like I always had to move. Especially when I was in that deep state of crippling anxiety, I always felt like I had to move. I had to do something because it was scary to really see my mind, you know? It was scary to see what junk was in there, you know? So I always felt like that. But the more and more that I meditated, the more still I became, the more I was able to sit, focus, and be okay with what I'm feeling. Be okay with what I'm feeling is probably one of the biggest things ever. So if you're feeling a certain way, be okay with it. Meditation will start enhancing this more and more. So what I was going to say that was the next game changer was understanding that at the essence of fear, it was a mood. It wasn't so much the thoughts, but it was the mood. A thought is a mood is a focus of a thought. So the more you focus on a thought, it becomes a mood. So when you focus on the mood, then you're focusing on the big things. And with practice, you'll be able to really experience that mood. I remember there were meditations where that anxiety, that deep, you could say trauma was coming out of my bad trip that I had. The trauma was coming out of the derealization, but by that state, I had a lot of meditations. My muscle of awareness became strong, that I was able to sit there and be okay with feeling those scary emotions. Whereas before I'd feel them and I try to escape it, you know, and the more I try to escape it, the more thought I gave it, and it just bring me in a low state, you know. But I was okay with it, and I'd have the courage to face it. I'd have the courage to face that feeling, and that feeling is important. Recognizing that it's a feeling, because I was able to go through the feeling. I was able to sit through it. I was able to be aware of it. I was able to be okay with it. That by being okay with it, by being aware of it, I was able to release it. And every meditation where I was able to release it more and more, the more light I felt. And then there hit the point where I'd go to those locations that before would give me fear, and I'd be surprised. I wouldn't feel fear, and sometimes it wouldn't hit me until even like 30 minutes after. I'm like, hey, whoa, like before in the past, this place used to make me feel like this. Not so much this place, but my thoughts about it, you know? But I'd feel a certain way in certain locations, but that was eliminated. And the thing too is, the more that you're meditating, the more that you're practicing this, the more you're letting go of your old self. Letting go of your old self is also really important. And I wasn't even giving it so much attention, and that's why those things would surprise me, because I was already embodying the new me. And for the new me, like even the me right now thinks about my crippling anxiety, and it feels like a dream. Trust me, you are going to reach that state. You will. Practicing these tools, it worked for me. That's why I'm sharing this. But you'll see all those experiences. You'll be grateful for them because they pushed you to grow and to reach this awareness, to awaken. But you'll also look at yourself back there and back in the past, and you'll be like, whoa, like, was that even me? Like, that feels like a dream. And that is what it feels like. I have such an immense peace right now that it feels like a dream. Completely different person. So this is a great transition to the next point. Having an image and a visualization of an empowered you. A you that you want to have, a you that's full of peace. Visualize that. Feel that. But before you do that, be okay with where you are at. Be okay with who you are. Because acceptance comes first. Even on that scale of energy, it's acceptance that comes first before the feelings of immense peace and all those things. So you gotta accept your situation, accept where you are. There's nothing wrong with where you're at either. There's a Zen saying that says, each snowflake is falling. All of them in their right place. You are at your right place right now. It is part of your journey, and you'll see how these experiences in your life are going to fit like a perfect puzzle piece for the beautiful life that you truly are having. because you are going to be grateful for these experiences, because like I said, they pushed you to awaken. They pushed me to awaken. There was a point where I was angry at these emotions, these moods. I'm like, why do I have to feel like this? Why did I have my bad trip? If I didn't have my bad trip, I wasn't too awakened, but I didn't realize how things were, but I felt okay. I didn't feel this immense anxiety. At least I thought something of the world. I kind of wish I was asleep again, or didn't know what I know now. But that was just fear, and it was the ego clinging on to its final moments. Not its final moments, but its big grip on me. It was losing its grip. It was using all its tools. But when I started accepting that, hey, this is the reality, and I could only move forward, and I gotta change right now. I gotta use the present moment to do this. I started changing habits. I started doing meditation, and then my perspective started changing. And it's interesting when your perspectives start changing, because it feels like, if at least for me, it felt like the books that I was reading, I was getting the perfect information for me to be able to go through this. And also in my head, for very, very particular situations in my life, I was getting perspective changes that it felt like I wasn't the one creating or thinking those ideas, but something beyond me was giving me those perspective changes. And especially thinking about it now, I could see how it was my higher self saying, hey, you've been looking at this situation this way. Look at it this way. Doesn't it feel lighter? Don't you see what you learned from it? And I started embodying that. I started seeing my bad trip as my awakening. As a very beautiful day, actually, as a day that I was awakened. The day I had my bad trip was the day that my ego collapsed. And even though it didn't feel nice, it was a beautiful day, And me being in the state that I am now, in the strong, empowered, peaceful state, it's beautiful. You're going to look back at each experience and you're going to be grateful for it. Gratitude is a very powerful emotion, but you'll see how everything fits, how every puzzle piece comes together. So I highly recommend, like I said, meditation, because it was a game changer for me. Another quick tool that you could use if you are feeling anxiety, say if you're going to give a presentation in class, or if you're going to tell someone something, the emotion of anxiety and excitement are very similar. Your hands may start shaking, you might start sweating, you may get an elevated heart rate. These are all emotions you feel when you're in excitement. So what I'd start telling myself is, okay, and especially for school, I'm like, okay, I'm about to give a presentation. I'm excited for it, this is what this emotion is. I'm going to use this energy for the presentation. I'm going to channel this energy. Like I said, energy is neither created nor destroyed, you simply channel it. So when I felt that rush of energy, that rush of anxiety, you could say, or fear, I transmuted it to the presentation, into feeling the excitement for it. And then the words would just start flowing. I'd get into a state where that energy would become redirected. So redirection of energy is very powerful. With awareness, you're able to redirect this energy. So if you are feeling anxiety for a presentation, for whatever it be, try thinking of it as, hey, I'm not anxious, this is excitement. And sometimes it is genuine excitement, but like I said, your mind may be so confused that it doesn't even know what is or what isn't. I can tell you that because that's how my mind was. It was very scattered, Like I said, my ego collapsed. I was in a very confused state. That's why I'm here to give you guys that clarity. Also, if you're in a very confused state, if you don't know what anything means, it's okay. Trust me, it's okay. Your confusion is shooting out immense desires, very, very strong desires of gaining clarity, and that clarity is coming. And that clarity will come in the form of a book, a conversation, a teacher, something that will just make things click for you and your experience. And also know that sometimes the answers don't involve a physical answer or a clear answer. It's a feeling. And that's what it was for me with the bad trip, because like I said, it's ineffable. And if you guys have had that experience, feel free to reach out to me, or even drop a comment and say what you're experiencing, and I'll try to help out and even our community, because there's a lot of people who have had that. For 2 years, 2 to 3 years, I thought I was the only one. I thought no one would understand me, and more I saw, wait, more people had bad trips, and it left them in this state as well. And like I said, there is clarity. Me knowing what I know now too, as you are the creator of your reality, so you choose your experiences. So if this did happen, know that it's for a purpose. And many times, at least for me, the purpose was to awaken me, which it did. It was a paradigm shift, but it awakened me. So real quick, let's reflect on the tools that I mentioned to help you get through fear. The first one being, you need to be aware that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. First one. Second, meditation. Meditation will help you. Be in your room, set a timer for 10 minutes. Be in nature. Focus on one sound for 10 minutes. If you start getting thoughts, just redirect your attention. The muscle of awareness will grow and you'll have breakthroughs. And these breakthroughs are, your higher self is so intelligent that it don't know exactly how to lead you, and you'll get that clarity through meditation or even in the state of silence after throughout the day. But you'll get it more and more, and your focus in meditation is what's going to bring about those solutions. The third, or I think fourth, whatever it is recognizing also that fear, it's just an emotion. So when you surrender it, when you surrender the emotion more than each particular thought, but when you surrender the emotion, you're going to let go and release many traumas, and you'll find yourself living lightly and even being surprised and not remembering certain situations that made you feel a certain way. And when you're living through it and realizing it and being like, whoa, this used to make me feel this way and I didn't even notice it until now, it's a very beautiful feeling because you'll see it. But recognize that the emotion is what you're striving to let go of, not so much the thoughts. The thoughts, you can do it, but when you release the emotion is a circuit of so much thoughts, and then you'll realize that those thought patterns, by default, when you let go of the emotion, it'll let go of a lot of thought patterns or loops that you have had in your head. And then the quick little tool, if you are feeling anxiety and you're probably in a situation where you can't meditate at the moment, or you have a presentation right there, redirect the attention, redirect the perspective, say, hey, this is excitement. It's not so much anxiety, and realize that you have a lot of energy in that state. So just redirect that, whether it be to working out, whether it be to giving a presentation, whether it be talking to someone. Just become present and realize that that emotion is kind of like charging you. That's why you may be shaking, You're charged of energy. So now what you have to do is channel that energy, whether it be, like I said, speech in a presentation, working out, running. Use that energy. Channel that energy. I believe in each and every one of you guys, as I always tell you guys, and as I truly believe and feel in my heart. Keep awakening. Things are as they should be. You are on the right path. You are the creator of your reality. All emotions are fleeting. Don't identify too much with whatever you're experiencing. Be okay with change. Let peace encompass you. Listen to the beautiful silence behind my words. Thank you guys. Have a beautiful day.